The African Perspective.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9 Central African Time on Channel Africa.
The World Health Organization is calling on governments to urgently ban all flavors in tobacco and nicotine products, including methanol cigarettes, bubblegum flavored vapes, and brightly packaged nicotine pouches. The UN agency warns that these flavors are luring young people into addiction by masking the real dangers of tobacco and nicotine use. In South Africa and across the continent, public health advocates are echoing the call for stronger regulation to protect vulnerable populations, especially the youth. Well, to explore what this means locally and what action is needed, we're now joined by Peter Ucko, who's the CEO of the Tobacco, Alcohol and Gambling Advisory Advocacy and Action Group. Peter, thanks very much indeed for joining us on the program. Welcome.
My pleasure. You summed it up quite well in your introduction. We can talk about the details. Thank you.
All right. So I am intrigued, and I wonder, and I was looking at the way the alcohol industry has gone, started to flavor alcohol. Is this exactly the same game that the tobacco industry is playing?
Oh yes, they are two peas in a pod. I have seen in freezers in liquor stores little plastic sachets that are designed for kids to suck on. For example, when babies are teething, mothers sometimes give them something cold. So you take this out of the freezer, you put it in the baby's mouth, and they kind of chew with their gums on it, and there's alcohol in it. And you don't know if those babies have a gene which has the propensity to make them addicted to alcohol. It's exactly the same with the tobacco industry. The theme for this year's World No Tobacco Day, which was on Saturday that's just passed, is unveiling or unmasking the appeal. I call it unveiling the appeal. We could call it unmasking the deception, which is what the tobacco industry does and uses all the time. You know, the tobacco industry, even when they're telling the truth, they are lying because they don't tell you the complete truth. I'll give you an example. Snus, which is a little pouch of fermented tobacco which you put under your lip or on the side of your cheek. They'll tell you that is far less likely than smoking a cigarette to cause lung cancer. Well, of course it is, because you're not inhaling any smoke. But what they don't tell you, it can cause mouth and lip and tongue cancer and pancreatic cancer. So the deception is always there. The problem with what you call vapes, and I really don't like the name vapes because it sounds kind of romantic. It's, oh, you vape. What flavor do you vape? Or do you say to your friend, let's go outside, sit in the sun and have a little vape? So it's not vaping. It's sucking on a killer electronic nicotine delivery system. The problem is that they have so many flavors which, as you said in your introduction, appeal to the youth. Would you like to have a guess how many flavors there are available?
How many?
About 16,000, I think the last count was internationally. 16,000 flavors. They call them all sorts of exotic names, which appeals to the youth.
Right.
And the problem is that the youth now suck on these electronic nicotine delivery systems. They think they're having a flavor, and that's the other deception of the industry, is they put, even in cigarettes, things like menthol, which cool the tobacco smoke or give you that sensation of cooling in the mouth, and take away the harsh realities of smoking pure nicotine. And so the youth start using these electronic devices, largely because, they think it's fun. I'll go and suck on these things. I don't use the word vape. I'll go and suck on these things with my mates. And they don't realize how quickly they get addicted. The danger is that, and this research supports it, that many of those youth who would never normally have started smoking combustible cigarettes might now start smoking, because they use these electronic devices, might now go to smoking. And that is a disaster.
And I suppose targeting the youth is that if you miss that window, it's unlikely that someone is going to start smoking in later adult life.
Yes, highly unlikely. And realize this, that smoking, the tobacco industry knows that there's two things might happen, just two. Smokers will die, 50% of them prematurely, but eventually all smokers die because everybody dies. The second thing is many smokers might quit. Now, if you add those two together, they'll have no customers. So they have to get new customers, otherwise everyone dies and they'll have no business. And they know that the best source of supply is to get the youth addicted, and eventually they'll also die. They might die prematurely, but the key is the tobacco industry then sustains itself by attracting new users, new customers, new smokers, and especially in the youth, which is our great danger.
So the flavoring is one aspect, but packaging is also an issue, isn't it? The brightness of the colors, all meant to entice.
Yes, if you look at the packaging, and they've gone really crazy in cigarettes, that they got holograms and reflective surfaces, and everything looks wonderful and romantic and enticing and attractive. That's what the tobacco industry does. Now, there's a bill before Parliament. It's gone through the public hearing process in all the provinces. It's now in the committee stages, but that bill was first published in 2015. So you can imagine, we're 10 years down the road and we haven't got the bill. And it is to, amongst many other things, introduce what we call plain packaging or standardized packaging. So the size, the shape, the coloring, and everything in or on the tobacco packaging, the cigarette box, will be standardized. So there won't be any bright colors. There won't be any fancy names. So they give the brand name on a standardized background with a standardized font, and all cigarettes will look the same and unattractive, which they are. There's also a discussion internationally about putting health warnings on the cigarette itself. So the standardized packaging will carry health warnings and other messages, because tobacco kills, smoking kills. It's a very simple process.
All right, so bottom line, as far as you're concerned, flavoring and packaging is a deception. What have the tobacco industries said about their moves?
They have always employed a few tactics. The one is to delay the legislation, and the second is to dilute the legislation. So they go to these parliamentary hearings and public hearings and employ a process which will try, and very successfully very often, delay the process of the implementation of legislation. They try and dilute it by making words or suggesting words that are less perhaps understandable, and broaden the scope of allowing tobacco use. And so the tobacco industry does that all the time. The other D, in addition to delay the legislation and dilute it, is employ these tactics of deception. We want to get that bill through as quickly as possible, and I hope that when it lands on the president's desk, he will very quickly sign it. The last two amendments, I tell you, took place to the Tobacco Products Control Act in 2007 and 2008. Very quickly, we started working on additional amendments to ban, for example, and control these electronic nicotine delivery systems, the packaging and health and warnings and other messages. Quite soon after that, and as I said to you earlier on, the first bill to amend the existing legislation and change the name and do lots of things was introduced in 2015. Wow. We're now in 2025. 10 years have gone by.
Yeah.
You know how many people have died in the meantime? It's a disaster.
Peter, sadly, we're going to have to leave it there, but I think it's a conversation we need to keep having. But thanks so much for giving us some thought, analysis, and certainly something for people to think about.
I'd like to just make an appeal, please, especially to the youth. Don't start. Employ the message, I'm too smart to start. And if you're a smoker, please quit. The number to help you quitting is on your packet of cigarettes.
Fantastic.
Please quit smoking and never start if you're a non-smoker. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Peter Ucko, CEO of Tobacco, Alcohol and Gambling Advisory, Advocacy and Action Group, joining us there about flavoured tobacco.